Senator Bernie Sanders has not yet announced that he is going to run for the presidency, but he is making a lot of moves recently that are both, in their own terms, good political moves, but also possibly an indication that he'll be running soon. And that includes today, breaking news, a new plan from Bernie Sanders, and that is a plan to expand the federal estate tax on the wealthy, to get it back towards, in some ways, close to where it was for literally decades over the course of the last century. In other areas, to actually go beyond what it has been in recent memory. This is the For the 99.8% Act, and it would raise taxes on the estates of the 0.2% of Americans who inherit more than $3.5 million, while the rest of the country, quote, would not see their taxes go up by 1 penny under this plan, according to aides to the Vermont Senator. Now, he's a great communicator on these sorts of issues, so I'm very glad that he and his aides are right out there being very clear that though if you watch Fox News, they are going to attempt to convince you that any sort of estate tax would affect literally anyone. But they're actually showing the numbers of the percentage of people that would actually be affected by this on a yearly basis, and it is obviously very small. You're talking about 0.2%. Now, what would this actually achieve? How would it be implemented? The plan would restore the 77% top estate tax rate that was in place in the US from 1941 to 1976. Tax estates worth more than $3.5 million and create several new estate tax brackets, including a 55% rate on estates worth more than $50 million. So I apologize, that's a lot of numbers. Basically, what is going to happen is that for like the middle third of the last century, those with the largest estates. So here we're not even talking about the people who have who are going to inherit $3.5 million or $5 million. It's much more than that. Would be taxed at 77%. That is a historically consistent level for the estate tax. And in fact, when the estate tax was originally set up under President Wilson, not only was it taxed at a higher rate, but it also affected far more people. It was initially implemented for people who had estates that were worth, in our dollars, $1 million. So it didn't take as much of a fortune to start to be affected by that. So now it would be sort of a sliding scale where the more wealth accrued by the family, the higher rate that it would be taxed at. That lowest bracket where it would start at $3.5 million, I believe is between like 40 and 45% of a tax, something along those lines. And obviously through the process of trying to get this passed, much of that could potentially be affected. But I want to put this in context of the conversation around the estate tax that's been going on nationally over the past few years. Understand that just this week, 3 top Republican senators released a plan to completely eliminate the estate tax, which the GOP already significantly weakened back in 2017 with their tax law, which made it so that it would only apply to those with more than $11 million or $22 million for couples, effectively meaning that although they did not eliminate the estate tax back in that tax bill, they made it so it would affect far fewer people. You had to have a higher threshold of wealth for it to affect you at all. And sort of philosophically, what is the purpose of this sort of thing? What is it intended to accomplish? That's obviously complicated. We've reached out to the senator's office to get him on the show to talk about this topic. But as of 2017, the top 1% owned about 40% of the country's wealth, higher than any share since 1962. And I believe that the top 0.1%, you'll want to check these numbers, I believe owns as much as the bottom 50 to 70%, something like that. Now, these measures of wealth inequality, this is not consistent historically. It has been getting worse and worse decade by decade. It accelerated in the 80s and it's only gotten worse since then. Now, I'm not going to bore you with decades of political science research about the variety of negative effects of income inequality. It is dangerous, not just for those who are left behind economically. It tends to, and although this is not the basis for good tax policy, it doesn't generally lead to great economic performance by those who inherit this wealth. That's sort of a side point. But in terms of its effect on democracy, increasing income inequality is one of the greatest predictor for political instability and in fact the fall of governments in a number of different areas of the world. As more and more of the population feels that they have no stake whatsoever politically in what's going on, they begin to pull back from democracy. That is destabilizing and it has resulted in a number of different extremely dangerous and in fact violent revolutions in a number of different parts of the world. Now you can contrast this with Senator Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax that we talked about earlier this week. That video is up on our YouTube channel. These are different strategies at getting at sort of a similar goal, and I am very much looking forward to, through the course of this primary process, these different plans being considered. I want multiple people on that stage when these debates get started talking about different ways that we can help to reframe the debate about taxes in this country. It is long overdue.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.